We are going through some crazy times in comic book lore history, ladies and gentlemen. With issues number 50 and the one we're going to be reviewing today, one of my personal favorite heroes gets changed in the most dramatic way possible. We're going to be reviewing The Amazing Spider-Man number 51. Spoiler warning ahead if you haven't read the issue yourself. We will be diving into the details of the comic book. Lastly, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video at any point, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get right into this comic book. To give some context into the story itself, let's talk about why issue 50 is a moment in the ASM comic book lore. Number one reason, that comic book was $9.99, ladies and gentlemen. Holy smokes. $9.99? Jeepers, yo, like I can literally go buy food for that price, dog. But I decided to invest in that comic book to tell you all how it went, and also this one to see how it goes. And let me tell you, I did pay for some wacky stuff. Point number 2, the cliffhanger of that issue. As we can recall, it was established that the Green Goblin set up the Wrinkler device to use on Spider-Man when he was inside of Spider-Man's control back during the Kraven story arc during this volume. With the Wrinkler device, it allowed the Green Goblin controlling Spider-Man's body to implement like a sleeper agent that would activate occasionally to just mess with Spider-Man's life. Now, if that ain't the most evilest thing you can do as a villain, I don't know, folks. Now to the cliffhanger of the 50th issue, the Green Goblin, who was always dormant within Norman Osborn, even though he was going around pretending, or at least, I don't know, maybe trying to be a good guy himself, but the Green Goblin persona just, takes over like it does. The Green Goblin said a phrase that awakened this Goblin persona within Spider-Man that took control over his body. So now we have a version of Spider-Man going around as a Goblin himself. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, he is under Green Goblin's control at the moment. This comic book begins with Ben Reilly waking up from a nightmare consisting of Spider-Man struggling during a fight where he specifically demanded for a spear. And with this information, he knew that Spider-Man was in danger. Then we move over to the secret lair where the Sinister Six, our OG Sinister Six buddies, are hanging out. So that includes Doc Ock, Sandman, Kraven, Electro, Mysterio, and the Vulture. The group is mainly concerned in taking revenge over the Living Brain, which enslaved him during issue number 6 of this volume. But Kraven is more concerned over the fact that the Goblin's sins have been freed, which puts them all in danger. The Vulture even vouches for Kraven, stating the fact that he's never seen Kraven so spooked before, so there's definitely something troublesome. But Electro just brushes him off, just claiming that it's his business, nothing to concern the entire group. Kraven is holding the spear that previously released the Green Goblin's sins from Spider-Man, so at the very least, he is prepared himself, in case there's a confrontation. Out of the blue, a freaking landline phone just starts ringing. Like, these guys just have a landline just sitting in their secret lair? Electro is genuinely concerned that their number is probably not unlisted, so it's like public to see. Dr. Octopus is the one that picks up the phone, and on the other side is Norman Osborn. Or better yet, with the personality taken now over, he's the Green Goblin. And Norman tells them that he sent someone to take them out, and they're genuinely gonna be surprised as to who it is. As the Sinister Six are chilling out in their lair, they hear a Green Goblin laugh coming from the tunnels. The Vulture questions whether it's the Green Goblin himself, and Kraven knows better. He knows who this is. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the comic where we make history. We officially get a Spider-Man Green Goblin version where he's got the glider, he's being a villain, and he is here to take out the Sinister Six to show it. Mind you, he's even got a personalized costume just for the occasion. I find that incredibly hilarious because, like, Norman Osborn, while he took control of Spider-Man, used the Wrinkler device to set this secret sleeper Green Goblin agent, and while that original Green Goblin persona moved back to Norman Osborn to just be his usual Green Goblin self, that Goblin went out of his way to craft this specific Spider-Goblin suit just for this specific moment. When Spider-Man turns into this Green Goblin version of himself, he's like, then he can wear this purple costume. It'll make him look cool. I just found that outrageously hilarious, ladies and gentlemen. Spider-Man, who's now this Green Goblin form, flies right by Dr. Octopus, and Doc Ock is like, Spider-Man, you weak-minded fool. What has Osborn done to you? Showing genuine concern over Spider-Man, like, Spider-Man should definitely know better, and he calls him out here in this moment. This Green Goblin Spider-Man's got 6 villains to take out, so he's gonna get to it. Immediately, somehow he aims at a weak spot, which disables Dr. Octopus's arms, causing the Spider-Goblin to just throw fists at him, knocking Otto unconscious. The Vulture tries to make a move on the Spider-Goblin, but as he goes by him, the Spider-Goblin launches these handcuffs, which get him the moment he has to flap his wing, when his hands are the closest to handcuffing distance. And of course, this prevents him from flapping any further, and he crashes into a wall, rendering the Vulture out of the game. The Spider-Goblin then gets electrocuted by Electro, but he's able to actually withstand the attack, and he immediately puts a dampener on Electro. Turns out it's actually not a dampener, and it's an object specifically designed for Electro to reach his full potential all at once. At this very moment, Sandman tries making a move on the Spider-Goblin, but since Electro's heavily going off, he creates this huge blast that just sets everything in chaos. And as you can imagine, with Sandman nearby Electro, as he went off, created this crystallized formation of the Sandman freaking out, engulfing Electro at the same time. I gotta say, ladies and gentlemen, that is definitely screwed up. But we don't get to the crazy moments yet. The Avengers show up, with Captain America leading them. Other than him, the team consists of Wolverine, Miss Marvel, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Woman. And they're here to tell the Spider-Goblin to chill. Captain America's got his moment where he tells the hero, "That's enough, son," anytime the hero seems to be crossing the line, but it turns out that it's actually Mysterio's illusion, just a way to get the Spider-Goblin to back off. But the Spider-Goblin tells him that he is not an idiot, and he saw right through it. And ladies and gentlemen, this is when the Spider-Goblin walks up to Mysterio, and of course, you know, Mysterio's just a guy with illusions. Besides that, he's just a guy. The Spider-Goblin just whacks at his dome head, cracking it, and Mysterio's just begging for his life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the craziest I've ever seen this character portrayed, the Spider-Man character. Kraven then jumps into action, and mind you, he still has that spear. Kraven immediately takes away the trinket bag that the Spider-Goblin used to take out the previous villains in some form, and then managed to get a couple hits in the Spider-Goblin, to the point where he managed to impale the Spider-Goblin again with the spear, in hopes of trying to remove the sins again. Of course, it doesn't even work. It doesn't impale him whatsoever. The Spider-Goblin then claps his hands into Kraven's head and threatens to crush his skull. But before this comic book starts turning into The Boys, Chasm shows up and saves Kraven from the Spider-Goblin's hands. And he insists that he's there to help. Probably. Well, he hasn't made up his mind, I suppose. Now we got a conflict between Chasm and the Spider-Goblin, and we're left on a to be continued in that main story, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely with a few words, it's crazy absurd what they're doing with Spider-Man as a character, just outright turning him into a goblin. Previously, yeah, he had the Green Goblin from Norman Osborn persona in his head controlling him. Now we have an official version where the goblin is him, if that even makes any sense. One of my biggest questions about the story itself is the spear itself. So it's already been established that Kraven tries using it on the Spider-Goblin to rid him of the goblin sins, but of course it doesn't work because that is a part of him at the moment. At the very beginning with Ben Reilly's dream, within his dream Spider-Man was crying out for a spear, and then of course Kraven dug out the spear and has it with him at the moment. So my biggest question is, what's going down with the spear? Like, how is it being implemented any further besides just giving us the fake out that it probably could have saved Spider-Man in this issue? Is it going to be used any further? Well, we'll see. I definitely want to talk about the moment they just reintroduced Kamala Khan just out of the blue as if nothing happened. Bro, there was a whole story arc where she sacrificed her life for MJ to save the entire universe, specifically that dimension. Since I'm specifically following ASM, it's absurdly weird to me. I know in just different other comics, she's already been revived as a mutant. Hopefully we'll get a better utilization of the Kamala Khan character in this story arc, especially over the fact that she's now putting herself in what's going down in the situation. Since she managed to find out that Norman Osborn isn't himself anymore. The Green Goblin persona has now taken over. We also get an epilogue where we get the Living Brain accompanied by Dr. Connors and another scientist in pursuit of trying to help Spider-Man. They end up at J. Jonah Jameson's apartment building, where the Living Brain just breaks through the wall and jump scares him. Now, mind you, since the previous solo story arc involving Dr. Octopus within this volume, that story arc ended by having Dr. Octopus's original mechanical arms living alongside J. Jonah Jameson as a pet, and the Mother Brain storms into the apartment building in seek of their help. Now, in the sense of the overall comic book itself, from the perspective of the Green Goblin, the dude diabolically destroyed Spider-Man. In stories of the past, the Green Goblin has been able to just screw over Spider-Man in the most outrageous ways possible. And I mean outrageous. This is definitely one of those crazy times. I was mildly glad that they at least acknowledged the fact that the Living Brain at least partook in some form back in issue 6 of, this entire volume. Mainly being the root reason of the Sinister Six's revenge. At least until the Spider-Goblin showed up and just completely annihilated them. Anyways, those are my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys thought of the comic. It's definitely one of those crazy ones with, I'm sure, multiple different opinions out there. I definitely think it's a huge, wacky level comic. Anyways, that is all I have for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed this video at any point, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.